we're sort of titillated to go and see mafia movies. We sort of get to go and see like what life would be if we just didn't follow any rules at all. And then we get to walk out of the theater and just sort of say how great a human being we are, given that we're not in the mafia. If you had told me at any point in my life that I would be playing a mob wife boss opposite Robert De Niro, I don't think I would have believed you. It's a dream come true. He was a gentleman. He made me feel welcome immediately. He was playful and funny. We improv'd, which blew my mind. He just started going off script, and I thought, oh my God, I am improvising with Robert De Niro, and it made the work more fun and more free. The whole experience was better than I ever could have imagined it being. I mean, he is the greatest of all time. I will absolutely be approaching my work differently now that I've had the opportunity to watch him and to act opposite him. You know, there is an effortlessness and a self-trust that he has that was so inspiring. And I hope that I can endow my work with just a little bit of that going forward. Oh, she's unlike anything I've ever been given the opportunity to sink my teeth into. And I will forever be grateful to Bob and Barry for choosing me to play his wife. The world of the mafia is intriguing to everybody. These stories are very rich and colorful, and the characters are extreme. And what I loved about this was it's a true story. She was a real person, and there was a lot of source material. And she was unlike any other mob boss's wife of any of them. Most mob wives are home, taking care of the children and just keeping their mouths shut. And Bob and Frank couldn't have children. And so all of her attention was on Frank. He married her because she was so educated and intelligent, and he respected her. And so she was his consigliere. She guided him and gave him advice. He didn't always take it. She created a world where there was an uptown world that she loved to live in, where it was legitimate. They were part of society. They went to the Copacabana, and then he would go off to work downtown, and she would stay away. Because Frank never really resorted to violence, her concern for his safety was never an issue until, of course, Vito comes back to town. And that's the first time that they have to contend with how to keep them both safe. I did just think about the concept of loyalty and what it meant, because the mafia world, they have very strict rules that dictate what loyalty means. And there are consequences if you don't follow those rules. It's very different than the civilized world and the rules of that we have to follow. And in both cases, it's about just following the rules. I think that we're sort of titillated to go and see mafia movies because it is so extreme and so, immoral and so outside the realm of what is acceptable behavior that we sort of get to go and see like what life would be if we just didn't follow any rules at all. And then we get to walk out of the theater and just sort of say how great a human being we are, given that we're not in the mafia. She was older than me in this movie, and she was a chronic smoker nonstop. So in order to age me, I really worked on sort of having that cigarette voice, that, and then bringing it down. That's what cigarettes do. And worked with the dialect coach. She was from Jewish Harlem, and it had a very distinct dialect. And then, of course, all of the most extraordinary costumes from that time. They gave me nails, red nails that were this long. I couldn't even open a banana. Stepping on that set really felt like I was stepping outside of myself and into a whole new world. And it's the most thrilling way to be able to experience telling a story. I'd like to say yes. I mean, she's loyal, she's trustworthy, she loves dogs, she's loving and playful, she's educated, and she is reasonable. You know, she is good at looking at situations and analyzing things, and so I relate to those parts of her. Bobbie was the only Jewish mob boss wife in history. It was verboten for them for interfaith marriage at the time. And the fact that they got married anyway showed me how deep their love was and how strong their characters were, because they were willing to push against the tide in order to be together. You know, I am Jewish, and it was very important to me that a Jew was able to play this Jewish character. There are not a lot of great Jewish women characters that are really rich. You know, it's usually comic relief. And so to see this opportunity, I felt that she had a dignity and a strength and an intellect and a softness that I just really loved, and I loved showing this particular Jewish woman. At first, I was going to say The Wedding Date, but I actually think it was a movie, Mothman Prophecy. It was a drama, and I played Richard Gere's wife. And it was based on a true story, and Laura Linney was in it. And it was a very, very dark drama. And that was the very, very first time while doing Will and Grace and being in this raucous, funny world that I stepped into something very, very, very dark and realized that there were challenges there that I wanted to work on that were different than the challenges of comedy.